For those with birdie partnerships, you take a step back and you look at a certain aspect of the portfolio of your loft, and others do the others. So in regard to Superform, it's my daughter and Cam that actually observe the birds, and they're the ones who are observing them 8-10 hours a day, and they're the ones who will tell me that a certain bird needs to go. And I remember Leanne saying, we were picking our team out, Leanne said, I want that bird to go. Anyway, won the Fed. So obviously she saw something that Cam and I never saw that week. So I think to be able to see Superform, I think it comes down to observation, and a lot of people probably haven't got the time, restraints, you know, family, some people actually work, you know, they'd not be able to be there all the time looking at those things. And what Greg said, he's right, there might only be 1 or 2 little displays in the whole day that bird shows, and if you're not there to observe it, then you possibly miss it, so therefore you don't realise that bird is cherry ripe to go to that race. So that's all I can say. I mean, you know, like I said, I leave a lot of that form up to my daughter, and because they're there all day, that's what they're there for. That's why I pay them nothing, so I can sit there all day watching. You know.
You pretty well covered it there. The pigeons will tell you, as I say, then someone will say, what do you mean the pigeons will tell you they can't talk? Well, you'll see their eyes are normally shining bright and the pigeons are just happy. Or they're starting to pair up with another pigeon in there, in a corner. Now that'll bring on what people call their super form. Or all of a sudden, if your pigeons fly for an hour, they're doing 2 hours, 3 hours. They're just feeling good in themselves. And that's pretty well it. And then if you're flying well, you've got super form. That's the best way I can sum it up.
Well, I got no idea. the only thing that I would say, I can tell you when a pigeon is out of form. I can tell you when a pigeon is going off, because the pigeon loses its strength, as I call it. It just becomes softer in your hand. And that's when I've made a mistake and sent lots of pigeons to races and lost them, when they really should be spelled. And perhaps it's like the old days with the horses, where your horse would go along for a while and it'd put in a really poor run, and that horse was telling you it needed to go out the paddock and have a spell. But as far as I'm concerned, if a pigeon feels nice and firm in the hand, it goes to the race, providing it's got feathers. And that's about my extent of it. I can tell you when a bird shouldn't go to a race, because I've lost lots of good ones sending them that shouldn't go, but I've got no idea about Superform. I just believe that your good pigeons, if you look at them, they're the ones you're more likely to go. And if you clock one a month ago or a fortnight ago, or whenever you send it, you're more likely to get that one unless there's something wrong with it.
Superform, John?
Superform, I can answer in 2 words: super health. Super health is superform if you've got good pigeons. Without good health, I don't care how good the pigeons are. You can have Maccabee Diva, if it's not well, it won't win a 100-metre race. You've got to have super health, and Superform follows super health. Without that, there's nothing. And as far as recognising it, results. You don't win every week if they haven't got Superform, and you don't win every week without super health to get Superform. Health is number 1.
Okay, so that health and vitality is the base platform to build from, with good pigeons, super health, vitality, and you build from there. With your levels of fitness and so on, the pigeon becomes more confident. I'll ask for any questions from the floor in relation to looking for pigeons in form, because there's some things I did look for, or some things that did become obvious to me where, I don't know whether it was coincidental or not, but that pigeon went out and won the Fed that particular week when I saw those things. So any questions in relation to what's looked for? Yeah, Perry.
Like, looking at Superform, obviously you're picking your pigeons for a race. If you had to pick 30 pigeons out of 300, what, 80? How many do you fly, Dave?
I have about 108.
About 108. So if you're going into your loft and you've still got that 3/4 of what you started with, and you've got to pick a 30 bird team, what are you looking for in the pigeon there? Like, or do you race teams? Do you have 2 teams? 3 teams of pigeons?
In those earlier races, I'm looking at the pigeons that are looking well, but are bred to spring. I could have a couple of distance pigeons there, and if they were looking super, I'd put the sprint pigeons in before them, because those distance pigeons cannot beat my sprint pigeons. I've seen it time and time again. I fell for it early days by sticking them in, and they're still 20 minutes behind. So the first thing is matching that bird to the distance. So I learned so much. I got out of pigeons, like I'm born and bred with them, got out of them about 10 or 15 years and raced greyhounds. I put dogs around here that have trialled the track record, and then I've been back on the Thursday night. We were talking about pressure before. Middle box, they just haven't can't take the pressure. And same with the distance, you used to hook them on up the back there and do what you do. They'll break a record 400 metres, but because it's 500, what you're hoping for is to get them out in front, and they got that much momentum, you'll still win. Well, same with the pigeons. In my opinion, the sprinters that I got, they've got the pedigree, and then they're looking super. So then you put them in your hand, and like they're nice and hot, they're clean, the throats are nice and clean, nice clean wattle. That's basically it. Nice and warm, not freezing cold. If they're freezing cold, I've never had much success with something that's freezing cold. So that's basically it. You've matched the pigeon to the distance, and you've also picked it up, and you've seen it in the loft doing things that's not normal, like chasing another hen, another cock, something along them lines. And if it won the week before, I'll stick it back in. No trouble at all. When they're fit, because then when they go off, and as you go up in distance, some pigeons are good at nothing. And if you're lucky enough to get that one's good at the short distance, well, let it enjoy its short distance and bring it back again next year. That's just the way I do it.
Spot on. Any other questions?
Yeah. If you're training all your birds on your own, are they all arriving home as one big batch, or are they broken up? Because when we put our birds on the unit, we'll get a couple, and then there might be a break, and you get a few more, and you get a break, and you get some more. So we can utilise that to say, well, these are the birds that are in form, and because they're at the front of our 50 pigeons I put on. I've got 20 in the first hour, and now the rest are coming behind. So I can say...
Is that question to me?
Yeah, because you... Yeah, well, sort of, because you put yours on one thing on their own.
They don't always come together.
They don't.
Because falcon attacks are so common. They'll get split up. They will get split up, but generally you'll identify the pigeons that get falcon shy, because they won't be there in that lead batch. They'll continually be late. So you can put them to the side because they're mentally gone, right? The falcon hasn't got them physically, but he's got them mentally, and they get probably, for every pigeon they get physically, take it down and beat it, tear it apart, they might get another 9 mentally.
Yeah.
So it's just great to identify those pigeons that are gone, they're finished. And you keep working on the pigeons that have got the tenacity and some degree of falcon resilience to keep their mind on the job and to be in that lead peloton time after time after time. Right. And that's why electronic timing is just so brilliant.
Yeah, and you use the benzene live. I mean, I look at it.
You're not making excuses for pigeons anymore.
You look at it and you go, there they are. The other thing was earlier on, you were talking about pigeons landing together. Now, I've had it, probably everybody has. You had 2 pigeons land together, come from Cooper Pedy, say, and they're nestmates.
Yes.
Now, do they spotted their partner over there on the, in between that 1,000 pigeons?
They're nestmates or loftmates?
They were nestmates. I had 2 land together, nestmates from Cooper Pedy.
I don't know the answer.
And other people have had pigeons land together.
Yeah, matching the pigeons to the distance, that's half the battle.
Okay, maybe.